welcome to the Soul Guidance reading for the new moon in Taurus, which falls on the 11th of May at 18:59 GMT time. So you want to adjust the time zone according to where you are in the world. So if you're in Europe or certainly in Greenwich Mean Time, it falls at just a minute before 7 p.m. on the 11th, which I think is a Wednesday. But in any case, what does moon and the new moon in Taurus mean? Now, for those who are following astrology, I keep the astrological bits quite short as much as I can, but it does lay the foundation of the reading and certainly the climate of what this new moon is about. Now, new moon in Taurus often is very much about new beginnings and trusting our values. Venus rules Taurus, and Venus is the planet that rules Taurus, and often it's about relating, beauty, things that really mean something to us. So being the new moon, the theme of the Taurus new moon often is around these themes. But what we have an interesting configuration of planetary aspects that are actually aligned during this new moon. So this is where each new moon, although it happens every year, every month, according to whatever sign it is, the reason it's different and the themes are different, that's because the alignment of the planets and what the planets are doing around that new moon is what makes the difference. Now, new moons, for those who don't know, is when the sun and the moon is conjunct, which means when they're next to each other as well. So they're right on the same degree. Okay, this falls in on the 21 degrees. So again, for those who are interested and do a bit of astrology, you can actually look up where your Taurus is in your chart and see what house that falls in. Okay, so for example, in my personal chart, Taurus falls in the 6th house. So that also is to do with kind of my creativity. That's ruled by Virgo. So it's to do with details in my life. It's to do with what action I want to take and how my expression is. But also for me, my Taurus is a North Node. So that also has quite a deep connotation for me because my North Node is to do with my soul growth. Okay, so okay, this is sort of overlaid astrological aspects, but it is interesting. And the more you actually dabble in and follow astrology, the more interesting these monthly and deeper these monthly readings can be and become. So coming back to Taurus, Taurus is also very much about the sensual part, the earth, the grounding, our kind of like root chakra, really. But this particular new moon in Taurus also dominates or is dominated by certain aspects around the throat. Okay, so the thyroid gland, particularly to do with communication, various aspects of our vocal cords, anything to do with our throat, our neck area as well. So I personally feel, and it's interesting, I already opened the cards here, and there's a very deep blue theme going on these cards already. And so I'm in total support of the chakra that we could be focusing on, certainly for this month, would be your throat chakra to keep it balanced, okay? So anybody with any neck problems, any thyroid problems, any communication problems, any husky voice problems, losing your voice problems, they're all to do with where you're not honoring your truth, where you're not honoring your creative expression, where you need to actually maybe hone in and do some health toning, which is sounds, or some work with your throat chakra to support you during this new moon, okay? What else I want to say? I'm just kind of cross-referencing for some notes here on my iPad. All right, so yeah, so there are certain things about acceptance as well. This theme, you know, this Taurus new moon, I know we're all now slowly coming out of the restrictions and there's going to be some movement, but there are some restrictions still for some people. Some, you know, we've got now the traffic light system going on for the green system and the amber and the red. So wherever you are in the world, that could be also mirroring what we're experiencing in our life, that maybe there's some movement forward, maybe there's a bit of hovering going on, and perhaps there is a green light for some of you as well to be able to move forward. So pay attention. It's not wrong or right. You're not being punished. You're not this is about growth, okay? This is very much about growth. And for some reason, I can't help but feel with Taurus as well, Taurus is a very sort of big, you know, it's a sign of the bull as well. And, you know, and we're kind of wanting to grow into the bigger self, the larger self. Okay, so whatever's going on with you, some of you already could have been experiencing a sense of awakening or a sense of authority over your own sovereignty, which might mean that you might need to speak up about what it is that you need, where your boundaries are, okay, and where your personal power is. Last new moon, when I did the reading, I'm just going to cross-reference it with a picture here, the photograph I take after each card spread. The message was very much to free yourself. So some of you might have found you've been cutting ties, you've been walking away from certain situations, and also digging deep. So there's been a lot of root work, okay? So although the main chakra last month for me was the solar plexus, the root chakra also plays a fundamental part. And it always does. Without being rooted, you know, we're very easily shaken by life. We're very easily shaken by what occurs outside of ourselves as well. So working with the chakras, which is I always encourage each month, is a real key self-preservation, self-development, and self-shining, if you like, you know, and self-loving thing to do as much as you can. All right, you know, even if you do it once a week, that's a really good tune-up. You know, if you feel really out of sorts, and I really recommend that you follow some YouTube chakra that you really like and practice that and really bring that into your domain. All right, so some of the themes last, like I said, last month was definitely walking away, not feeling guilty by doing so. If anybody was imposing any guilt upon you, not to feel guilty either. And it really was a question of trusting that you had an army of support from the angels, allies, and what have you, and very much some balance being required. Now, what's interesting is there is some correlation between last month's and this month's reading as well. I've got the card already spread here, and I really feel that this is a new moon where we are going to be putting new intentions out, and it's a very good one to start the sort of action part of the new moon and putting the intentions out. But I will say this as well, that we need to be very patient, okay, as we go along. So, you know, the bull does take its, you know, I feel the bull is a very heavy animal, but at the same time, it's what it can sort of be like, you know, sort of attacking things like a bull in the china shop. This one is about getting much more slower paced and allowing things to show up. Okay, so is there anything else I want to add to this? Okay, this is very important. It's about self-acceptance as well as another key thing. I've got a card here as well as acceptance, but this new moon in Taurus, very much about accepting yourself, which is very a throat chakra thing as well. When we really start accepting who we are, what we are like, it really allows us to start really tapping into our creativity. And this, again, through the whole pandemic and through everything that's happened, this collective change has been very much about a theme for us to really own our truth. And the themes are going to be continual. Okay, so if you've been following my readings each month, new moon or full moon, there are major crossovers. Okay, we do have a lunar eclipse at the end of this month on the 26th of May. Okay, and then the next new moon in which will be in Gemini, which is in June, is going to be also an eclipse, a solar eclipse. Okay, so we are going through some powerful shifts at the moment, and these eclipses, as well as whatever we're not doing or paying attention, it is going to clip us out. Okay, it's going to be like a bit like the thunderbolt that will come and make things happen. You know, and I'm not sort of wanting to sound scared or sort of scare you, but it will be a case of the universe will take charge and push or do things in a way, particularly if we're not paying attention to our personal alignment and what really is calling, what is calling us. Okay, making choices from an aligned self is the very, very important. And I think a lot of people have been waking up to that and realizing that there's certain things and bumps that we've been going along at the moment, because perhaps we're not really being attuned as much as we think we're taking layer upon layer of ourselves. There's a lot more always that seems to be happening, and the learning. Okay, learning is a lifetime's work. And it keeps on happening. But just to come back to this reading now, is there anything else I want to say? I will come back to the astrology. Okay, I will say this new moon is very much also a communicative new moon, because we've got Mercury in Gemini, and Mercury rules Gemini, and because it belongs in Gemini, Mercury will dominate, I feel, the actual aspect of this new moon as well. So just, or the theme rather. So there could be a lot of communication going on from this new moon into the next new moon as well. So, you know, paying attention to what's coming through, what you're listening to, what you're putting in your mind, as well as what are you noticing. who is interfering, you know, who's giving you unsolicited advice, where is it that people are really not on your level and you are feigning, say, or going along with it. You know, it's really, really important now, those who are been clearing the path, those light workers and everybody else as well, that you'll find that you can no longer actually betray yourself in many, many ways, and certain boundaries and certain amount of authenticity is being called for, and even if it means that you're going to be left out in the cold for a bit, or certainly not knowing where you are, or you're feeling a bit left out. Okay, I am going to skip right into the reading now, as I feel that I've talked quite a lot about astrology. Okay, I'm going to start with my message actually, and for those who've been following, I do ask intend for this new moon with a prayer and a message to guide you with. And the message I've received for this new moon is, let your vitality be your GPS. Okay, so use that as your kind of GPS. Okay, so whatever gives you energy, if something's kind of dulling you, or you're feeling oh blah or meh, you know, that is not where you're meant to be going. Okay, just really pay attention to that, is where we are being led. Okay, like I said, even last month, try and get out of your own head and really start feeling your way through. So vitality is key. Okay, it's a really nice vibrant energy, and that's going to be your GPS. Okay, the next message I got is, you've got this. Okay, so if you're having doubts, just say, you've got it, I've got it, you've got this. Okay, as if you're speaking to your other self. Okay, trust your voice and inner knowing is a final message, and the path is yours to claim. All right, which I thought was also a very poignant message for the new moon in Taurus, because it is very much about forging our new pathways as well. Okay, yeah. All right. I'm just going to pause the video here for a moment. Apologize, I just noticed something. Okay then, so I apologize for that little break. I just had to sort of pause the video, and I'm back here now. So as I was saying, your path is yours to claim. So this is almost my action there. Also said that, you know, you might need to just sort of stall on something or stop on something, so you actually really get clear on what is really important to you, or do what's right for you. Okay, I mean, obviously in certain things, you know, you can't say, if you're driving a car, you just can't stop your car in the middle of the road and get out of the car and leave your car there. So, you know, there are certain elements of truth within what you need to do, but obviously think about where your effects are. Okay, I know that might sound like a really sort of, hopefully not a condescending example, but be mindful. But it is very important that you are now becoming really congruent and clear to yourself, despite the possible communication or uncomfortable communication you might have to offer to somebody, particularly if they are in a position of interfering when it's not been asked for, or you know, making suggestions or giving advice when it's not. And if it's something that you don't mind getting all the time, then that's fine, each to their own. If you're the sort of person that actually is aware that there are certain kinds of input being offered that's not really, you know, kind of what you are desiring, if you like, or it's not something you've asked, you're totally within your rights to inform the other person, that you can thank them for whatever advice they're giving you, but you haven't asked them for that. Okay, it is really important, because people are too busy often willy-nilly giving their thoughts and advice out. So let's go into this reading from the cards here. Now, what I really have, the overall theme of this new moon, it certainly is going to be growth. Okay, now I think some of you could have been struggling with a bit of the growth as well, or there could be some discomfort with the growth phase, if you like, or maybe some, I won't say teething problems, but sometimes when something new is going to be coming out as well, there is some kind of threshold of that birthing. You know, no birth is without its pain. Same with any kind of growth. So for some, I feel as well, and the reason I said I don't read this card, this is a beautiful, I'm using the Queen of Oracle, Moon Oracle card deck rather, which I didn't do last month. I've decided to go back to these this month for this new moon. And here we see this card, but it actually came on the inverted. And because it's come out on the inverted, while I don't read it on the inverted, I also want to take note that the fact that it has come out, which means perhaps some of you could be frustrated that it's taking some time for certain things of change to become apparent. And this is going to continue. There is going to be a slower period of change, but we are very much in a change. but we're not transitioned through the change yet. So patience is definitely the key here that I want to suggest to all of you as well. So if you forget this and you're trying to push things forward, just be patient and flexible, okay? Get your ducks in order, get things efficient, you know, do what you can at your end to make things ready. Get on with your paperwork, maybe do some decluttering or clearing up. Again, new moons are a really great time to clear the decks. If you're listening to this before the 11th of May as well, do find yourself that clear out anything and anybody, and clothes, old items, you know, if you're living in a country where it's very seasonal and it's apparent what seasons they are, then put your clothes away, you know, whatever you can, clear out, okay? But more importantly, I feel this theme at the moment is very much about personal growth as well, okay? And I say this because we've also got Lilith, which is one of the planets also almost conjunct to the new moon, okay? And Lilith is always been about the underworld. It is always about our inner work, our shadow work. So they will be coming up. And this is not about sort of, you know, wanting to conquer your shadow, but to recognize as well that this time is very much about personal growth and shifting, okay? For some of you as well, this could be new roots being put, wanting to nest somewhere that you feel secure, okay? So things have felt very insecure, things have been insecure for a lot of people as well. You've not been able to move back, go out, do certain things. Maybe some of you have also been in limbo because you've been stuck through the pandemic. So this is now a time for almost putting what counts and what matters in the right ground. So putting your roots down somewhere as well. And it doesn't mean to say you're not going to move again or there's no transition, but I feel that this is very much to do with some kind of movement, towards the life that you want. Okay, and being really clear is about where you want and what it is that you want to grow. Okay, paying attention to your own timing as well, and then not also at the same time while it's your own timing. If something is going against you, if for example that you're being told by somebody or somebody's sort of said that they don't want to speak to you right now, or they're okay, or you know, that you're unable to reach somebody or something. There've been some kind of also relationship bust-ups as well. I know that for a fact because of the nature of the time and walking away. Some people would have been, like I said, walking away in the last full moon reading. And those who haven't really and kind of really hanging on for dear life, you might find that the next eclipse, the next two eclipses will actually certainly confirm something along those lines. Okay, anything that's kind of started without the foundation or the bit of congruency, or if we're denying our truth, okay, that's the key, because it's amazing how many of us will actually deny the truth. Okay, we'll overlook what we know, deeply know not to be true for ourselves, but yet still pursue that path. And it serves a purpose. Sometimes the payoff is to be there so we can learn certain lessons. And sometimes we can also find that we actually want to move towards that thing that we know that's not quite right, because that's the only alternative we've got. Okay, so I'll give you an example. It could be maybe about accommodation, and you need to move out of somewhere, and you go and check out the next place, and you kind of know your landlord's a bit, you know, and the place is not ideal. It's got a few things, but you take it. But then you find out 2-3 months down the line, you really don't like it, or you think, oh, you know, I knew that I shouldn't have taken it because blah, 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 blah. But 3 months ago, you were really in a sticky space and you had to move out from where you were, or maybe your tenancy had come up to the end or whatever it is. So I'm just giving you an example that sometimes we are pushed to make choices, or having to make a decision and make choices that actually push us, but it's all there to serve our growth. So that is one way of looking at it as well. So whatever has happened, it is almost an awakening about what we tend to do or what we're not doing. Okay, the other thing here I want to also offer is the idea of awakening, okay, because this time is serving us to awaken. All right, it's about where do we want to be? Where do I want to show up? How do I want to live my life? How do I want to wake up in the morning and feel? All right, so again, your vitality is your GPS. So if you're waking up to a job or to a day and you start thinking, you know, let that be your GPS and make yourself a self-inquiry. All right, so these are the things this is the main theme of the new moon as well that I'm picking up on, to do with this new moon from May the 11th to the June the 11th. Of course, these themes are long-standing as well, but possibly the strongest effect will be during this time, or at any point that you might pick this reading up if it comes up on your YouTube feed. or whatever, okay? Or for those who are subscribed, thank you very much for subscribing. It really means a lot to me. The numbers are going up incrementally in such small little stages, but I love it when I see there's a +2 or a +1 or a +3 each month, because it is growing and I'm really delighted. So whenever you're picking this reading as well, or viewing it, just trust that there is a message. Okay, speaking of trust, the next card, so again, the energy that we've all just come from is about learning about trust. Okay, and I think the lesson here has been about trusting ourselves. Okay, so for those who've not been able to really sort of tune into that, you'll be learning harder lessons about where you need to trust yourself over another person's thoughts about you, or any other noise that you might get from the outside. Okay, I feel this card is also telling me as well that you need to get your ducks definitely in order as well. And interesting, both pictures here have got a nest, so I really feel like this is something about you making a carving, a base, a home, or a functioning, how you express yourself, to be very, very important. And trust what is calling you. Okay, trust the energy that is calling you. Again, trusting your inner GPS. Okay, and do not allow anybody to talk you out of it. If anything, okay, some of you definitely need to speak up for that as well, and don't be afraid to speak up and take your stand in it. Okay, if some of you have been sort of shirking away from the truth and hiding, if you look at her here as well, that she, you know, she's there in this bubble and she's almost crouched, as you can see, and kind of, you know, almost kind of in this fetal position, sort of hugging herself. This is about you rising yourself and making yourself known, and making maybe some noise as well, and just actually, instead of holding back and being like a little girl or a little boy, you know, letting your inner child rule you, this is now a time to remain open, to boldly speak your truth, and to even just say what needs to be said. Okay, again, very throat chakra thing. I also feel that for some of you as well, you need to surround yourself with people, and you're learning now to surround yourself with people that who really again give you that sense of vitality, a sense of delight, a sense of belonging. Okay, and really see who supports you and who's shining your, who are up for your light. Okay, those who aren't will diminish it for you or make you wrong. Okay, this is very important now, as that some of you have come from a place of being open to what life has been guiding you to. You might have been sort of someone how can I say, not so much, but you might have been sort of not disillusioned a bit as well, but just trust that this is leading you to where you need to be. Okay, now finally, another card I want to say, this is a main theme as well. So acceptance is what's crowning this reading. So the acceptance card here is very much also about the challenges. So some of you, if you're not accepting what is happening around you, or certain endings that's come by, or whatever it is, you will find it quite difficult to sort of be peaceful, should I say, one for a better word, or be okay, right? Whatever we don't accept in another person or a situation is when we really struggle. And it is hard sometimes when certain circumstances we are faced with that makes us very challenged, if you like. But I feel that in some way you've got to trust that the right people will come to you. Okay, so whatever's not worked out, whatever sort of has challenged you this last several weeks coming into this time, you know, just accept it, because you see here, you can see the hand, they're the right people are going to be reaching out for you, or your energy is being led to the right people. This card also sort of reminds me of you know, the more authentic we are, the more accepting we are of how we are, how we look, you know, how we dress, and really not being affected by what other people, we will naturally attract the right people. Okay, so yeah, you know, you say that you've been invited to a party and you know that it's not really your bag, and you think, oh, everyone else is going, maybe I ought to go. Again, trust and accept yourself that you are different from everybody else, that you don't really care to go, you don't really not bothered to go. And then that acceptance will start drawing to you the people who are meant to be in your life. Okay, every time we welch on ourselves, there'll be some discord and some separation as well. And really what you want to be doing is bridging in those hands, and really getting those hands, you know, for you, for the right tribe, for the right people, and for the right family, if you like, soul family to be surrounded by. Okay, now pay attention as well to the messages you are getting. This is very much this new moon message. Anything I want to say about that card? Yeah, and then also don't be afraid to be spontaneous and somewhat sort of flighty in terms of sort of moving, pivoting with what's going on, but be patient. If things are not going according to your plan, according to your speed, according to something else, okay, sometimes just trust. So this is a fine balance between moving, pivoting, and accepting what's happening, maybe accepting the further delays or restrictions, but at the same time, use this time to get grounded and efficient. And I use the word balance as well. So a good time to get balanced, because interestingly, this card has come up a few times. So we're very much in this theme. You know, this is the kind of outcome of this new moon is asking us to really harmonize what's true for us. If you see that she's holding a golden sort of globe or earth close to her heart, very much to her chest, and it's glowing. And this is a kind of, again, this is what, you know, paying attention to your vitality will harmonize your sense of well-being. Okay, again, from the image, you can see that she hasn't got the clear vision. There's a cloud hovering over her eyes and over her head, but don't be deluded by what you can't see. Again, just trust what your vitality is, okay? So because we can't sometimes see the goals, we can't see our exact destination, all right? This is why I'm so anti all these, goal serving things. And, people sort of saying, what's going to happen? Where do you want to be in 5 years time? Or where do you see yourself in 3 months time? Because really life, so I'm sure everyone's learning this now, or if not, they've learned it now or learning it, that we do not know anything beyond what we can see in front of us. Yes, you can intend, and the intentions are good. But as soon as you hold to something very definitive, it can really rock your world. So my counsel and my guidance is to you to hold close to your heart what does give you vitality and follow that. But even if you can't see a way, just trust that you're being led, okay? And if you look at all the moons there as well, that's sort of hanging, they're different cycles, all right? And so not everything is going to happen in the moment now, or in a week's time, or in a 6 months' time. There's a natural order of things that we sometimes can't see, and there always is, okay? Now, nature is one area where we always find that. But I always want to sort of say, looking at this picture, that balance yourself, get yourself back to balance, get yourself revitalized, regenerated. If you've been doing nothing, slobbing out, watching too many series of Netflix, and you want to tip the balance and start acting and doing something fruitful and some functioning. If you've been somebody that's just constantly on the run, constantly on the go, constantly on doing, then you might want to also slow down, get yourself, and I really feel that this is a bit of an action for a lot of people as well, that there's a sense of need to retreat. All right, there's a sense of need to kind of regenerate, to incubate yourself, which brings me to this picture as well. And don't be afraid of taking time out as well, all right, to see what might hatch. Sometimes we have to take time out. I mean, it's almost like there's an egg in there, but in order for things to be hatching, okay, it needs its incubation time, all right? And I know there's a bit of a paradox because we're opening up to, the openings and the changes of movement as well, but I can't help that feeling that that would be a bit, not presumptuous, but to go slow is my advice again, and also to be discerning which way you're going to go, okay? You trust yourself. Trust your inner GPS, trust your inner voice, okay, and your knowing. Okay, sometimes, the more little actions we take that really confirm what we know to be true, the more we start trusting that inner self over what everybody else could be doing around you, okay, because maybe you are being led to something. Maybe you're being led to a path that really is yours to claim and not where everybody's going. So it's been like being the ugly duckling, or the black sheep, or a sheep, and you're not going to go with the rest of the flock, but you're doing your own thing. But at the same time, there could be a lot of sense of reticence about your own choices you're making. But whatever it is an opportunity for you to balance yourself and know, and by balancing yourself, you're certainly going to get the clarity as to which direction you need to go. Okay. And another thing I want to say about this sort of direction you need to go as well, you might not be able to see the next course of action for down the line. So be patient as well. Do things that you can, okay? Do things that are at hand, get on with the changes, that things that you need to do, tend to what you can, you know, and take some rest in between what you feel that you can, you know, do as well, you know. So, you know, you don't need to work, you know, by working efficiently, that's great, but also take rest breaks, you know, be good to yourself, be open, you know, celebrate, you know, the small achievements that you make, so you feel good about what you're doing. Okay, now I'm just going to move on from these 4 cards as well. I'm hoping maybe to now I've got pulled 2 more cards from this time Yasmin Boland's Moonology deck, which I've not used for a while, the Oracle deck. Then there were 2 that popped out. Okay, so for some of you, this message is there for you. Okay, so and you could be asking yourself a question about whether to do something. How would something work out? How would I get the money for something? What should I do? You know, this is about the Archer. If you can see, it's actually the sign of Sagittarius, which is when the next eclipse is actually, which is at the end of the month. So do put your intentions out there, put your sights there. But I feel that the message, as this popped out as well, is there's something about luck being on your side. So, you know, pay attention to something. And I did in the last new moon as well, I think there was something of the unexpected. And I think there's been a lot of things that have been unexpected for a lot of people as well, including myself. But luck is on your side. So think about how you can pay attention to luck, okay? People say to you, people as well, I've heard this before, and I have had this said to me before, oh, you're really lucky because XYZ, or you're really lucky because you've got this flat, you know, or you're really lucky about, I don't know, whatever, right? But the point is, what you don't realize is the luck is just when opportunity meets action. All right, so this is also about you acting on what you possibly maybe know you want, but it may be lucky that's come back, or there's something that you struck lucky on. For example, you're not going to win the lottery if you don't play it. Okay, so, you know, so you're acting on something. Okay, but there is luck for some of you. Okay, so maybe you want to be aiming something, or you want to start aiming at something. Maybe you've got an intention, goal, or an idea that you want to start opening up or fulfilling or putting out there. So luck will be on your side. For some of you, this means that you could be actually seen as well. Maybe that you've been in the dark for a while, not be able to see your way forward. Or it could also mean that you're now beginning to get noticed as well. So some of your work, or maybe your business, is beginning to sort of be seen and being visible. And it could be for the effort that you have put out there already. All right, but message is here, luck is on your side. For some, this is absolutely fantastic. And like I said, there were 2 cards that fell out. All right, and we've got here, the answers you need are coming. So again, if you're not sure which way you need to go, which is what I was saying earlier on, just trust that the answers that you need is coming. All right, so if you don't know, ask yourself daily. If it's an act, you know, sometimes we really can't see our way through at all. So just trust that the answers you need are coming. Okay, try not to get too in your head about it. That would also cause a lot of paralysis or fear as well. And what happens is you can actually end up blocking your movement, your own natural instincts towards something when we overthink things. Okay, because of this card technically is a Gemini full moon. Okay, Gemini is a very busy-minded sign. Okay, it's again ruled by Mercury, you know, but just trust. Maybe this is all about just being patient, seeing what is growing, what can grow, and seeing maybe where your actions from your previous actions, where the growth is beginning to show up. But whatever it is, some of you, if you're asking about a particular question, or you don't know what the end result of something is going to be, there is a message here saying the answers you need are coming, but definitely to move away from fear. Okay, try not to, I'm looking at this as well, because at the bottom of the moon deck is fear. And if you look how many crows are there, and there's a lot of noise, okay, and what happens is you end up getting trapped, and inside there you're almost paralyzed, despite the fact that if you actually be still and let the light shine you. It reminds me a bit of the Hermit card in the classic tarot, all right, where you are actually can't see your way through, but there's a guide, an inner guidance, and definitely not let fear stop you, okay, or too many voices, or other people's voices as well, which can also hinder your progress. All right, so now I think I'm going to take the surrender deck to finish this reading, and I'm just going to do see what the surrender deck, so what gift, or what do we need to surrender for this new moon? Is there anything that's coming up for the listeners or anybody following and viewing? What message do we have here to offer? Anything here for surrendering. Choose one. Take this one. Okay, so I feel that here, this is also a really beautiful card. It says, give yourself over completely to prayer. When you pray from your heart, you will be heard through the universe, and the answers and support will arrive. Okay, which sort of reminds me of this as well. When we really, if you look at this image, there's this globe is from the heart. So really start praying from the heart, and when we start getting aligned, we know really what means something to us. All right. And then also, if you see here as well, her actions, and sometimes when we put a prayer out as well, we can get very impatient about not seeing the results that we want, and we can't see ourselves forward, or things are out of our hands, and often they can be as well, especially it's involved in another person, how they behave, or what they're thinking, or what their actions could be. And the best thing we can often do is to surrender it. Okay, surrender to prayer. So make a prayer, a heartfelt prayer for what you want, maybe what you desire, or maybe for you to be able to get over heartache or a situation that you don't know or you can't see forward, and trust any messages that might come through from the universe, and the support will arrive. And this is another thing here. You see, when I see all these doves as well, if you can see from the acceptance card, I feel that for some of you as well listening, there could be a situation where you have to accept that things are the way they are. Perhaps somebody has abandoned you, or maybe a situation has not come to fruition or fruitfulness, and you need to trust, and you see, and wait for the messages to come. All right, for the inspiration to come. And like I said, for most of you here as well listening, if you're into the chakras and you feel like you want to engage, be it a Tibetan bowl or some sound, do pay attention to your your voice and your thoughts as well. Okay, it's really important. And use the throat chakra to help you move through it. Okay, I used to follow Martin Brofman's work, who was one of the earlier thought thinkers around the chakras, and he was very much about the throat chakra being also very much about abundance as well, because when we start becoming true to our self-expression and speaking our truth and owning our truth, whatever that could be, it could be maybe eating a tub of ice cream, that's our truth in that moment. Okay, but if you're somebody who's always binge eating and eating too many sweets and sugars, that doesn't apply to you. But all I'm sort of saying is, just trust that you are you. How you eat, what you do is you as well. Okay, this is how you claim your unique self. These are what my soul guidance readings are as well. Now, at the bottom of the deck here, which I'm also going to share, is being surrendering to the end result, I think, which is also very, very poignant to this. Okay, it says the formula for success is to do all you can to make things happen, then let go of the results. Okay, hold on too tightly to a desired outcome can sabotage it. So I think that really fits in as well. Like I said, right at the beginning, okay, things are happening in divine timing. Maybe, you're rushing a certain process, or maybe wanting to rush to see a result. Okay, this is serving our growth. So whatever it is, be patient. All right. And like I said, this is very much about allowing things to happen as they will. Okay, know that there is your path to claim, and which means, there's nothing to worry about. I love it sometimes when I read these memes that say, what's yours is yours and it'll never be denied of you. So again, just trusting that as well. Okay, because we sometimes out of fear tend to want to hold on to the external, be it a person or an idea, or maybe what we decided that we want to do, but it's not worked out. Whatever it is, try not to hold on to any results, any attachment. Okay, I feel like I would like to really end the reading here. I hope there was something here for you this new moon. The next new moon, like I said, is in Gemini on June the 10th, and it is going to be a solar eclipse, which I will talk more about at that time. But in the meantime, do surrender to prayer. So do put your prayers out there. Ask to be led, let your own inner GPS, which did to do with vitality. And every time you feel down on something, just say to yourself, you've got this. All right. Or, just really strengthen your inner support system. Okay. By all means, get the external support system, but choose your support system really wisely as well. Because people who are not also trusting their own inner vitality, or people don't lead their lives as authentically or as purely or as powerfully as they could be, they won't have the resources in any way to offer you that kind of support as well. So be mindful as to where you get your support as well. But I really believe that just trust in yourself, because this is really a time now for you to forge your own path and trust your sort of movement forward as well. All right, thank you for listening, for being here. I do make an offer, so if you've got this far, whoever sends me a message through the my website on contacts, drop me a line saying that you've just heard my new moon in Taurus video, and I will offer you a 30-minute reading for free, and you can just book that through me, or certainly I will liaise for you to have and claim that reading. Okay, lots of love until the next full moon. I hope to do a full moon. There's lots of changes going on in my life as well. So if there is no full moon, I'll just sort of maybe give a bit of disclaimer just in case I'm unable to do the full moon. I'll see you in the next new moon reading on the 10th, or maybe not even the 10th. I have to see. Actually, I have some work that's booked up in between those times, but I will maybe even do a new moon one and put it for scheduling if possible. But thanks for listening, and I hope to get those videos continued up on the full moon and new moon. Lots of love, and enjoy the rest of this new moon season. Bye for now. Bye.